but I don't want to talk about it. Fine. Damn it, just fine. Flatliners sucked. End of review. Okay. I'll be serious, guys. Hey, what's going on, movie lovers all over the world? You already know who it is. It's your favorite internet sweaty, your boy Mikey Savage 21, bringing you another movie review. And today, I am sadly bringing you the 2017 science fiction psychological horror film Flatliners. No, this is not the original 1990 film. This is the 2017 remake. And it stars Ellen Page, Diego Luna, Nina Dobrev, James Norton, Kiersey, Clemons, and Kiefer Sutherland. And basically, this film follows 5 medical students who attempt to conduct experiments that produce near-death experiences in an attempt to reach the afterlife and observe and study what happens. Alright, so like I said in my intro, this sucked. And I didn't want to actually put this on actual camera. I didn't feel like turning on the camera. What I thought about the movie. Okay, I already said that it sucked, but why did it suck? And does this also make the case that remakes are bad? Well, yes and no. Certain remakes transcend what they did before and sometimes expound upon the lore of the first film. Like, you could argue that it technically is not a remake, but there was a property that had already adapted it, and it basically took ideas from that and made it even better, and now we have the It film that we have today. You could say the same thing for the Planet of the Apes franchises. Technically, they're prequels to the original Planet of the Apes films, but if you wanted to call them remakes, they took an old property, revitalized it, and brought it back. So you do have certain cases where remakes are sometimes even better than the original film. I'll still argue to this day that I think the RoboCop remake that we got was actually a little bit better than the original. It might have not been as heartwarming as the original, but to me, I still think it felt pretty good. Another film, Dredd. I thought the Dredd remake was really fantastic, like seriously fantastic. I think it really brought that character to life. But basically, I just ultimately felt like Flatliners didn't offer up anything new. It was basically just retreading the same things we did in the first one, except at least with the first one, which is directed by Joel Schumacher, is we cared about the characters. We cared about the characters of Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts and Olivia Pratt, and all these characters. We cared about them and what they ultimately went on in their journey of studying what it's like beyond death, and the stakes felt real. In this film, it didn't feel real at all. And one of the things that I will say is I generally enjoy this cast. I enjoy all the respective people that have been in here, especially Kiersey Clemons. Her and Diego Luna, I enjoyed him as well. I think Kiersey Clemons, I really enjoyed her in Dope. That was the first thing I really saw her in, and I got to see her in Dope, and the way she just brought that character to life, I felt that Rick Famuyiwa was just able to ultimately bring out the spirit of that character, and Kiersey Clemons embodied that character to where she disappeared into that role. Same thing with Neighbors 2. Now, a lot of people might argue that Neighbors 2 wasn't as great as the first one, but I'll make the argument that it was just as good. But I enjoyed the addition of Chloe Grace Moretz, and I really enjoyed the addition of Kiersey Clemons. Now, Diego Luna, I have enjoyed everything that I have seen him in. Most recently, the most recent thing that I ultimately saw him in was, of course, he played in the Star Wars film. He's been in a number of other things that I've also seen him in. The most notable things, again, would be playing Cassian, again, in Rogue One. And then, of course, in The Book of Life, he played Manolo Sanchez, the voice, respectively. But those are the 2 big tadpole things that I really remember him from. And so it was just disappointing seeing this cast, and even Kiefer Sutherland, who I felt like was wasted in this film. They originally said he was gonna reprise his role as Dr. Nelson Wright, and then they changed it, and he just was basically just some doctor who was just there to scream at his interns and tell them, "You're not doing enough. You need to push yourself and challenge yourself more." That was all Kiefer Sutherland did. So again, if you were going to see this remake because for him, then just pass on it. Again, one of the other things that I felt like this film was unable to do was there was no sense of real tension or terror in this film. It tried to be more so of a horror film than a psychological film like the original. With this one, you still had the whole thing of their sins are coming back to haunt them, but this time they apparently would physically manifest themselves into these different types of creatures and whatnot, and then they would plague them. and ultimately would lead to their death. Now you would think, okay, a premise like that sounds pretty cool, but the way that it was executed and the way that the director went about presenting this to us just fell flat. Like the movie in general, it fell flat and it had no pulse to it. And again, the stakes weren't real, at least with the original. Cared about the characters when they ultimately felt like they might die or they might get picked off because of what they have ultimately done. You cared about those characters and it made you more invested. With this one, I personally didn't care about the characters. The only character I even really cared about was Diego Luna's character of Ray, and that's because he was just the level-headed thinking one who kept saying, no, this is not real. Y'all need to stop this flatlining. It's just absolutely crazy. But then even in certain points where he starts to maybe go along with it, I feel like it gets lost in translation of what Diego Luna was doing. But I certainly think that Diego Luna was the most well-performed performance in here. Everybody else, again, is great actors in their respective right, but everybody else, I just didn't care for their characters at all. So in terms of this movie, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. I definitely don't recommend you going to the theaters. This would be something you could catch on cable television or maybe on Netflix or Hulu if you already have a paid subscription, but I don't even recommend Redbox for this movie. But guys, have you seen the Flatliners remake? What did you think? Have you seen the original? Do you think that the original still is the best one? Or were you some of the few people who actually really enjoyed Flatliners and thought it was just as great as the original? I don't know how many of you are, but hey, you never know. Weirder things have happened. So let me know all of that down in the comment section below. As always, remember to subscribe to the channel, tap the bell so you'll be notified every time a video drops. Also, make sure you tweet at movie_Java. Again, they turn movie fans like you and I into validated film critics, and we're able to have our opinions validated and shared with other movie-going fans all across the world. So again, tweet to them at movie_Java. And in terms of how many cups I'm going to give this, I'm ultimately going to give this 1 cup. 1 out of 6 cups. Hashtag how many cups. Thank you as always for checking out this review. And as I always say, remember to become a savage, stay a savage, and peace out, y'all. Later.